Thank you all for coming today. My name is Harishankar. I would like to give the mic to my friend Mr. Lakshmikant Bakre, who will be starting the proceedings of the day. Over to you, Mr. Bakre.
Thank you, Hari. A wonderful evening. All the participants so far joined. I'm sure last couple of minutes number is increasing. So some of them may miss the initial part, but it's okay. Everybody, a very warm welcome for this wonderful webinar organized by Machine Maker, and the keynote speaker is Vishal Kulkarni. So my role here is to introduce you Vishal. Many of you already know Vishal, like me and Hari, but maybe some do not know. And for those people, for those participants, my job is to give the Vishal's introduction. So given current situation, last couple of months, everybody is passing through this a difficult phase of COVID-19, and then the day-to-day, everybody is thinking on how to tackle this post-COVID. I mean, whenever the work starts in India, especially, the lockdown is not yet open. I mean, it's continuously extending, and state like Maharashtra is facing rather more severe situations. So looking at that, business, especially the business part, a lot of damage already happened. Government has been constantly working, watching, doing their part on the controlling the pandemic spread, and also working on the relief package. So just 2 days ago, the package has been announced. So all these things, I mean, everybody is trying to do his own part, but we as a entrepreneur, what we need to do once we start, and that is the main subject Vishal is going to take care in his speech. And the title he selected is, I like that title very much. The situation will throw lemon, but how to make lemonade out of it. So we'll definitely, I'm sure you all will enjoy the session, and definitely with a lot of learnings out of that, or takeaways. With this small pre-intro, I'll give now the information about the Vishal Kulkarni. So Vishal is a production engineer and masters in operations management, and he belongs to our own Maharashtra, from Solapur, I guess, Vishal?
Yeah, right.
Right, okay. So, he has been, he has worked with a couple of large MNCs, and then entered into his own venture as a co-founder, and is playing a role of managing director there. The company's name is Faber Infinite Creative Solutions, and he is based out of Pune. Having operations in multi geographies like India, obviously, but Africa and Asia Pacific and Middle East. These are the three additional geographies apart from India. He has been working, his company has been working and delivering the services. So what he is into is he's basically a turnaround specialist, or transformation expert, you can say, organization transformation. And while doing this, he has so far catered to almost 100 plus organizations, trained 10,000 plus company employees on using various tools to do these tasks, and close to 150 plus CXO level people during this journey of this Faber Infinite. So he has the professional expertise as a Vishal, he contains is like the business transformation, strategic and operational planning and implementation, change management, culture building, lean management, and new facility design. So multiple facets under the transformational journey. He has all those expertise, and the certifications part, little bit about him is like he has been recognized as a leader for tomorrow by ET Now. Also a certified corporate director from IOD, and he has a 25 most trusted consultants in India. He has got this award from CEO magazine, as well as excellence in the organization transformation award from the Asian African Chamber of Commerce. Probably I think this is the first company from India receiving this award, if I'm not wrong, Vishal, right?
There are a couple of them.
Oh, there are a couple of, okay. Then Accelerator Award from Mahindra and Mahindra. So earlier past journey was with Kirloskar and Mahindra, and also he has worked with Japanese consulting firms in before entering into this Faber Infinite venture. So with this small introduction, I would like to hand over the mic to Vishal. And over to you, Mike. We are looking forward for a wonderful session. It has been always pleasure to listening to you. Thank you. And thank you, Hari.
Thanks, LK. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. And good afternoon to all the participants. I welcome all of you for this webinar. And let me start by thanking Mr. Hari and his team, the Machine Maker team, for arranging this webinar. Let's not call it as a webinar. I'll call it as a more of a discussion session. So arranging this more of a discussion session where we will be discussing on very interesting topic, which will get unfolded in due course of time. And in between that, of course, I would like to seek your opinions also. So it's not only the one way which I'll be speaking. We have certain polls, or there are other mechanisms as well, by which I would also like to hear from you as well. So let's call it as a discussion session. And we are going to discuss on very important topic, which is worrying everyone today about what's next. So that's the theme around which we'll be speaking. But before we discuss it further, let me try to understand you better. So I'll request Mr. Hari to run our first poll. Mr. Hari, if you can run our first poll, please. Yeah, my friends, please indicate your industry so that it will help me to understand you better. Please select the option which is most appropriate or near to the industry that you are representing. Okay. Yes, Mr. Hari, can we have the results, please? Okay, so I have the results in front of me. 30% people are from service sector, 30% are from other sectors, about 21% from engineering, 11% from automotive, and so on. So we have a mixed crowd here. Good. So I welcome all of you here. Where the topic which I have chosen for my today's discussion, and I have given a name of this topic, is if 2020 is giving you lemons, let us make lemonade. Well, I hope my screen is visible to all of you. I'll start with the theme of this topic. When I was talking about this, I came across this particular quote by a famous US writer, philosopher, Albert Hubbard, where he says, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So I came across this particular quote when I was reading some books or going through some articles. And then I thought, like, is it relevant in this current scenario really? Where everyone doesn't know what, there is no very little visibility for the future. Though everyone doesn't know when the things will open up, how the things will become, what will be that new normal. So that's why I thought that let's reframe this phrase, and that's why I given a name that when 2020 is giving you lemons, make lemonade. So I'm sure this topic itself suggests that what we will be discussing in this particular discussion today is not for a long range planning or anything, but we are talking about how to make effective use of this 2020. Because all of us are going through the same scenario. Everyone is saying that because of this crisis, the world is leading to a recession. Of course, many of them are saying, and it's a fact, that the recession has already started. We all are into recession at this moment. So, but my friends, the question is recession new to industry people? Is recession new to the industry? Or we have gone through these cycles of recession? So when I was discussing, I was researching about this particular topic, I came to a very interesting fact that in the history of recessions till date, we have not one, not two, but almost the industry has faced 17 recessions till date. The severity of these recessions might be different, but the industry has gone through 17 recessions starting from 1797 till today. There were almost 17 accounted recessions. There might be few recessions which are not even accounted as well. And one of the things which my research was telling me that along with this, each and every recession has given something new to the world. So every recession has given something called as a new normal to the world. Whether it's like we talk about Fortune magazine, Fortune magazine is a product of one of the recession. We talk about some of the latest products like soaps of P&G and others, they are a part of recession. The good Nescafe that we enjoy, the Nescafe that we enjoy every day, is an outcome of recession. The organizations like, if I can talk about few of the names, organizations like GE, organizations like GM, organizations like Hyatt, Fortune, there are so many innovative products this recession has given us. So what these sets of recessions has actually done, it has changed the industry. It has asked the industry, or it has forced the industry to rethink the way it operates, rethink on its strategy, rethink on its delivery. I'm sure all of us have seen that great recession of 1991. What it has given to India? It has given an India of LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. We all are enjoying fruits of it this today. Most of us are from that private sector. That is a product of recession. Recession of 2001, whether as recession of 2008 or 9, each and every recession has given us some fruits. So with this, I'm of a strong believer that this current recession will also give strong and good fruits to the industry. We all are already talking about new normal, and this new normal will be a good new normal. So with this high hopes, let's start our discussion. So as I was saying, when I was discussing about this topic and I was researching about this, with various news, one news struck me very much. Let me take you through this news. And this news comes from a sector which is slightly different than our sector. I have listed all this. That's the reason I wanted to understand from which sector you belong. And this is a sector where each of us are part of, not as a manufacturer or a service provider, but all of us are definitely customers of this sector. Yes, I'm talking about the entertainment industry. I'm talking about the media, TV serials. So when I was going through this particular news, an interesting fact came up. And this fact is, we all know that TV serials are judged by their TRP rankings. So I could list some of the TRP rankings of the category which they call it general entertainment channels. And these are the TRP rankings from the leading channels. Like this is a ranking from 14th March to 20 March week. The leader is the channel called Dangal. Well, it was a surprise to me as well that there's a channel called Dangal which is actually leading these TRP rankings. Followed with Sony, followed with Star Plus, Colors, and so on. If you go to the next week, more or less same trend. Couple of position plus minus are happening at down the line, but Dangal and Sony are still leading. if I go further, suddenly I came across a channel called DD National, which is right at the top. Right at the top, and believe, and if I can go 1 week before, that channel was not even in the top 10. Forget the top 10, that channel was at the bottom most level. Nobody was even talking about that channel, and suddenly in the week of 28th March to 3rd April, that channel was #1. I thought it might be a spur. So then I continued my research. Then what I found, actually this channel is actually on the topmost position for 9 consecutive weeks. The channel, please my friends, this is a point we should actually deliberate. The channel which was not even in the top 10, which was right at the bottom, with so many constraints with respect to the other channels with it was competing. This channel was right at the top at #1 position for 9 consecutive weeks. I'm sure some of you must have seen this channel. I'm sure you must have seen the way it has progressed in these 9 weeks, the kind of advertisements that were coming on these channels before, and then the flow of advertisement that started coming on this channel after, because we all know for television channels, the revenue earning source is the advertisements. So the kind of revenue that this channel has gone. May I ask you the reason, please? What's the reason? I'm sure many of you will give me the reasons. Why Doordarshan topped in this sequence for 9 consecutive weeks? Please type your answer in your chat box so that I can understand what reason you are giving to me for this. Great. Yes, many of you are saying correctly. It is because of the different approach this channel has done. The kind of serials it has brought back into the television industry. So what happened? When this lockdown started, majority of the leading channels says that TV channels now have to rely on some of the episode banks because the production is stopped. Because they also work in something called the just-in-time techniques, the way our manufacturing sector also works in. Now, majority of these leading channels, what they did, since their shooting and everything was stopped, they relied on their recent serials, the serials which they were running in recent times. So what they did, same serials, but recent episodes, they started retelecasting. But those episodes were very fresh to the user, so user actually didn't wait for it. In contrast to this, what this channel called Doordarshan, which is run by the government, of course, the thought processes can be different, but the way I see it as from a strategy perspective, what this channel actually did, it went to the classic 1990s scenario. It telecasted serials like Ramayana, serials like Mahabharata, because it catch the pulse of its audience, which are the people who are in the age group of 35 and above. So when I introspected this, because I fall to one of that age group, I found that, okay, when these serials, Ramayana and Mahabharata, were telecasted in 1990s, very few people were having the television at their home. So even though everyone wanted to go through this serial, very few could actually see, or some of them have seen by going into their neighbor's house. Now this channel actually took these guys that, okay, you have missed something in your 1990s. I'm giving you this opportunity to revisit. So it brought that emotional connect with its audience. It understood what its audience looks for and actually gave that offering which the audience was looking for. And the result is, you can see not only the channel, the first 2 serials, the first 2 rankings for specific shows are also from DD National, and it has continued. Then it brought another channel, like it started with Ramayana, then followed with Mahabharata, then followed with Shaktiman, and so on. So what this channel did, it understood what is the right pulse of its audience, what is the right pulse of its customer at this moment. Because my friends, today's moment is definitely different than what was there before 15th of March. The audience pulse, your customer's pulse has changed now. It has gone to a new normal. What DD was successful in identifying the right pulse And we always say in a strategy, press the right button. Press that right button. So Didi was successful in pressing that right button. And then that's the history where it's one of the leading news channel, and it is creating a global. One of the news says that Ramayana breaks world record as it surpasses viewership of the Big Bang Theory and Game of Thrones finale as well. Can you see a serial which was actually, the shooting was done in somewhere in the 1990s, is telecasted or re-telecasted in 2020, and it breaks the world record. Don't you call it as a winning strategy? One simple strategy, one different thought. When I say one simple strategy, I talk about one different thought process on how to serve its customer can create a world record. And this is done by our own channel called DD National, which is run by the government. You all talk about the way government functions, but now this is an example which the government is setting us, by which one good strategy, one simple strategy can create a world record, can win a game. So with this, my question to all of you over here, I can see there are so many entrepreneurs who are part of this session. My question to all of you here is your winning strategy ready? You are at your home since last almost, I can say now, at least for the people who are in Pune, it's more than 2 months. Everyone is at home for more than 2 months, which is a sufficient time. Have you made your winning strategy ready in last 2 months? I request Hari to launch the second poll, where I would like to listen from you about, is your winning strategy ready? Hari, can we have a yes? Guys, please choose your answer. What do you think? Is your winning strategy ready? That post this crisis scenario, when you will again go back to the market, when you will go back to your customers, what would be your winning strategy, like the winning strategy of Doordarshan? Please cast your vote. Either you can say yes, no, or you are confused, say don't know. Great. So I have a mixed opinion. Some of us says that 59% says yes, and almost 40% say either no or don't know. Good, good. So it's good to have that 60% of the people have thought about that winning strategy, and whereas 40% are still saying, okay, I think I may have to revisit my winning strategy once again. Good. And it's always say that it's never too late. So with this, let's continue our discussion. So for those 60% people, what I'll be talking about is something which you can cross-check with respect to your strategy, which you have thought of for your business. And for remaining 40%, I'll be sharing with you some hints by which you can start thinking about that winning strategy. You know, I'm sure all of us do agree that strategy largely depends on innovation. It's a thought process. One innovative thought can change the game. So definitely what I'll be sharing with you are certain simple steps which you can follow, which you can apply on this current scenario and come up with your own winning strategy. But before that, the biggest question that many of us might be asking, do I really need a winning strategy? Is my business really at stake? Is it? Or if yes, what are the steps? So that's what we will be discussing. With the first part of this session, of course, the next part we'll be discussing about a simple check which I'll be sharing with you, by which you will have your own answer that is your strategy. Do you really need a change in your strategy? If yes or no, and if the change is needed, what are those steps? So the first thing I always recommend all of you to do this is something called the sensitivity analysis of your business with respect to the current scenario and with respect to the new world which you will be entering soon, or you already entered in that world, where the norms is SMS. Everyone has talked about social distancing, mask, and sanitization. The world is going into that SMS world now. So with this SMS world, how relevant is your business. So that's where I would urge you, when after this discussion session, when you go back, put a simple matrix like this. I'll explain this. So what you can do in simple language, put all your products, or we call it as a value streams, in one column or in rows. Then for each and every product or each and every value stream. So when I say product, don't just talk about the physical product, but you have to think in the way you are getting material for this product or service, and the way you are giving this product and service so that it reaches to its end consumer. So think of the entire supply chain. Don't think of just the product or just the service. Think of the entire supply chain, because in today's world, it's not product or service that competes, but it's a supply chain that competes. So when I'm talking about product and value streams, think of the entire supply chain and measure it on a 2-point scale, just a 2-point scale. The first point is on relevance. So going forward, will be the relevance of your product will go up, that is indicated by green arrow. Will it be as it is like before a pre-COVID scenario, or will it go actually down? So that's one part. And second part, what kind of a demand you can project for your product going forward for next 9 months? Will it go up? Will it remain neutral like at an average level, or will it actually go down? Take an example. Let's talk about sanitizers. Definitely the relevance going forward will go up very high, and even the demand will go up. If I talk about FMCG, food and other articles, the relevance will be as it is. The demand will also remain more or less as it is. PPE kits. The various organizations who are manufacturing the PPE kits, PPE materials, and so on, the relevance will go up and demand will also go up. But whereas if I talk about cinema halls, the way they are operating in today's scenario, where the seats are very near to each other, very less norms of social distancing are being followed, the relevance will go down. The demand will also go down if they continue to operate in the same manner which the way they were operating pre-COVID scenario. Let's talk about restaurants. Again, same scenario. The way they are operating before, the relevance may go down, the demand may go down as well. So these are the kind of businesses who are struggling. If I talk about tourism, or let's say travel industry, relevance will remain as it is, because once the situation improves, people again wants to travel, isn't it? So there will be a relevance for sure, but definitely people will avoid the travel, though they want, but they will avoid. So that's where the relevance remain as it is, but the demand may go down. Now, this is a simple matrix which you can do for your own business. List out your products, list out your value streams, list out the way you are operating these products or value streams, whether these are products or services. I compare both in the same manner when it comes to a strategic canvas comes. And then tick in appropriate box. And one thing you should do when you are ticking in appropriate box, let's say you are saying my relevance will go up or go down, write down your assumptions. Why you are saying this? Why you are saying that your relevance will go up or it will go down? List out those assumptions. Similarly, when you are talking about demand, again, whether it's go up, neutral, or it go down, list out your assumption, because these assumptions are going to help you to identify or formulate your winning strategy. So list out your assumptions very, very clearly. Take your time. Don't rush in this matrix. Think holistically. Do good amount of research for your industry, how that industry is going to behave going forward. Apply your own logics. You are into the business for many years. Apply your logics, your wisdom. Give good amount of time on this matrix, and then you see how many of your product or service lines are actually in the green zone, how many of them are in the yellow zone, and how many of them are actually in the red zone. I'm sure because of this scenario, everyone is now talking about zones. So let's use that language. How many of you are your business or value streams are in the red zone? And now, if majority of your products, your value streams are either in yellow or in the red zone, treat it as a sign of danger. If majority of it is in the green zone, you are very well covered. But if majority of them are in the yellow or in the red zone, treat it as a sign, as a in Kaizen or Lean language, we call it as an andon. Andon is a signal, is it? Treat it like that. An andon has been raised. A flag has been raised that it's a time that you should think about your strategy. And some of my friends, who are 60% of my friends, who have already said that I have my winning strategy. Do this exercise once again with assuming that your winning strategy is in place, that you have implemented your winning strategy. And even after implementing, do this exercise as a kind of a mock run and check whether you are still in a green zone or you are still in a yellow or red zone. So the objective for the success is, or the mantra for success is, shift from red to yellow and yellow to green. That's the way you should first of all analyze, or I will use the word scan your business. Scan your business and check where does your business belong at this moment. Once that is done, of course, as I said, write down your critical assumptions very clearly, because they are going to help you in our next steps. Put best case and worst case scenario, because I understand every entrepreneur, most of entrepreneurs, not every, are optimists. So it's a good chance that, like, say, my 60% friends who already said that my winning strategy is ready. I really like that. But check your optimism on 2-point scale. Plot this matrix in a best case scenario and plot this sensitivity analysis in a worst case scenario, because certain assumptions may go invalid. So put your best case scenario, put your worst case scenario, and with current situation, this current crisis situation, better be prepared for that worst case scenario. It's always better, isn't it? And then based on that, identify risks in your business model. So once you have done your sensitivity analysis, once you have done your best case and worst case scenario, you identified your risk in your business model, the next thing we should do is, do you want to revisit your strategy? Do you want to revisit your strategy? At this stage, what I can do is, I can tell you some simple equation. Well, though I call it strategy equations, this is a simple business equation. The business equation which all of us know, which we have learned since our childhood, is equal to profit is equal to sales minus cost. So anything that improves sales improves the profit. Anything that reduces the cost improves the profit. With this simple equation, what we should do going forward, when you talk about how should I come with my winning strategy, I need to come up with strategies which one hand will improve my sales, and on the other hand, it will also reduce my costs. So overall, I'm not increasing not only the profit in numbers, but I am also increasing my profitability, the percentage of profitability. So winning strategy is that strategy which simultaneously improves sales and reduces the cost. So in absolute numbers also it increases your profit, and in percentage wise also it increases your profitability. So if the profit in absolute numbers and profitability in percentages both are increasing, that strategy you can call it as your winning strategy. So when you talk about winning strategy, does it have any aspects? So many people go to the strategy document and they formulate a very nice strategy document. I have seen more than 500 strategy documents. I have studied personally by various organizations. These are very good strategies. Some of them are very good strategy documents. But unfortunately, as we say in accounting or finance language, for everything there should be a check. There is a MEC and there is a check. That is, everything is being covered properly. When I recommend you, there are various aspects of your business or various aspects of your strategy. So today, what I will be discussing with you is key seven strategy business aspects, which each and every strategy document should touch base upon. So which are those 7 strategy aspects? The first and foremost is called as a market. first and foremost aspect of strategy called as a market. Market is the place where actually you are selling your product. Now it can be a physical geography, it can be a age group, it can be a male female groups. Market segments in simple language. Market talks about market segments. So first, have you identified your right market? There was a famous story which says that there was a shoemaking company which sends one of its sales representative to one of the country. He comes back with a report that, okay, boss, there is no hopes from this country because nobody in this country wears a shoe. So he says there is no hope. Whereas another salesperson goes, he says, okay, boss, he comes back and says, double the capacity because in this country, there is nobody who wears a shoe. Now that's the way, different perspective by which you can look at your market. Now, this is very important because going forward for majority of the commodities, it is expected that demand may go down because the earnings of the people have got hampered. So when the earnings have hampered, the demand may go down. So when demand is going down, you cannot stick with the same market which you are there today. You have to think, if this market is not going to help me by fulfilling my goals, what can be that other market segment? It can, again I repeat, when I say market segment, it can be a geography, it can be the age group, it can be the sex group, it can be so many other things which qualify under that market segment parameters. Revisit your market segments. Try to identify if current market segments may not fulfill your goals. Identify new market segments. Second, which I personally feel will be very, very relevant in this today's scenario, is something called product and application. We generally talk about product, but very few people talk about the applications. Now, what's the difference between product and application? Take an example of this Zoom meeting. The product is Zoom meeting, that is a kind of an online platform. What is its application? The application is basically to connect the people, to connect you and me. So Zoom is through a product called online meetings or online webinar platforms, is serving an application of connecting different people. So this is a time you should think on this aspect in 4 ways. The strategy can be thought about existing product and existing application. That you are, let's say take an example, sanitizer. The product is sanitizer, the application is to sanitize or keep the hands safe. They don't have to do the existing product, existing application will help them to improve their sales. But then you should also, if that is not going to happen, that your existing product and existing application is not going to help you, you have to talk about the second aspect. New products serving existing application. New products serving existing application. 2 days back, someone shared a video with me with one of the lift manufacturer. Now, application for the lift is to transport the people from different floors. So they kept same application, but what they did, because when you enter into lift, you have to press that button and which can give that contamination. So they came with a wireless, touch-free sensors. So they have modified their product to serve the same application. I'm sure they will get a very good response for this particular product going forward. So that's existing product, new product with existing application. Then existing product for the new application. Like sugar mills, we have seen that so many sugar mills have actually started now making hand sanitizers. So there was a product which they were not using for this particular application before, but now looking at the situation, the sugar mills are now actually making sanitizers. So that's a perfect example of existing product serving some new application, which is in demand today. And the last and the not least is new product, new application. We have seen, I was just reading through one article today, in last 2 months, actually 600 new manufacturers have started making PPEs. Even our Honorable Prime Minister also said that initially we were not having a capacity to make PPEs or those N95 masks, and today we have a capacity of 2 lakhs per day. So these are the guys who actually created new product because they were having some basic infrastructure at their end, maybe those weaving machine, making machines. They created this new product serving new application. Another example is company called Mahindra. I consider myself fortunate that I'm an ex-Mahindra. They started making ventilators. Today only there is a news that a US subsidiary of Mahindra is also making those PPEs and the health equipments for US industry, because they have some basic tool rooms in place. So they use this existing infrastructure to come up with new product serving new application. Indian Railways, a new application. Now some of the Indian Railways bogies have been converted into kind of a quarantine center. So these are the different applications. So my friends, why I'm focusing on this product point is because you need to think in that area. Some of your products may not be relevant in the future until unless you examine them on this 4-point scale. Examine existing product, existing application, new product, existing application, existing product, new application, and new product all together serving new application. So scan your product, and I'm sure if you start thinking, so many thoughts will come to your mind. One of that strategy will be your winning strategy. Let's go to the third aspect called branding. Very important. Brand always shines. Brand always shines. And in this tough scenario, many organizations think that let's reduce my branding expenses. Let's cut down on branding. It's not the fact. Well, I will not talk about the expenses, but you cannot reduce your sight from your brand. Your brand has to always shine. Take an example and it will help. Take an example, Tata's. They use their brand. Today they have created, they donated some funds. They are doing so much of a social things. I'm sure this Tata brand is now getting registered once again in each and every Indian's mind. And when tomorrow everyone will start talking about be local, vocal about local, Tata will be the first choice because that is on the top. Similarly, today there was a news about Asian Paints where they said that Asian Paints said that I will not reduce the salary of my people. They published it. So they re-emphasize the brand and the values of Asian Paints, which will remain in the people's mind. Let's say tomorrow I want to paint my house. I will think, okay, this guy Asian Paint, they did something good for the society. So I have a choice. When I'm choosing, I'll say, okay, let's give advantage to these guys because they have done something good for the society. So branding is another key element. How innovatively you can use your brand in this scenario will be the key. Fourth, new technology or business execution method. This is very important. Take an example, the stores like DMart. The initial model was the customer comes to their doorsteps, picks the material and go away. Now what we have seen, DMart is selling online. It is sending those vans to the society. So actually, initially their business execution model was customer coming to them, which they have changed now that they going to customer. Swiggy, Zomato, these are some examples. Ola, Uber, there are different examples which categorize in one of them. So that's how you need to think. Or let's say even someone like Zoom, which was there. Of course, now there is the new business execution model. People say today that Zoom's revenue is more than the top 7 in the what you can say airline industry's revenue. So there was some article coming on it. So now you have to think that what should be the new way to execute your business. You cannot have like people like me who are part of this consulting domain. We used to go to the client side to deliver our consulting inputs. Now today, same amount of work which we are doing through online. So that's a new way of executing the business. And what we have seen, it can still add the same amount of value which we were doing when we were there on person. So you also have to think what can be the new way to execute your business and how you can include technology as a part of your business execution methods. So that will be very key. Going forward, the next aspect, fifth aspect called process excellence. Process excellence is all about improving your quality, improving your on-time deliveries, improving the productivities, and in a nutshell, all put together, improving your cost management, making the best quality goods at on-time supply at lowest possible cost. So when you make your goods or services at lowest possible cost, automatically your percentage margin goes up. How can you reduce your fixed expenses? How can you reduce your overheads? How can you reduce your non-value adding activities, non-necessary activity, which are eating your money but not adding any value to your product or service? That's what process excellence talks about. It gives you, okay, how can you attain your cost leadership? How can you attain quality leadership? How can you attain delivery leadership? How can you attain customer leadership? All those things are a part of your, and of course, safety goes without saying. How can you attain your safety leadership? So process excellence will get a very good focus in forward. In fact, many people are saying going forward, operations excellence will be a new normal. Those organizations which will manage that operational excellence cleverly, operation excellence spread across entire supply chain is a new normal. So each and every organization has to focus on this. You cannot run your organization, run your operations the way same manner which you were running before February. You have to revisit your operations. You have to reduce your cost, and that's how, and not sacrificing any value. So that's a process excellence. Then come the people excellence. People excellence is in managing a high performing team. So this is where you need to revisit your organization structure, identify the right fit structure which is necessary for you for the future. Don't have a fat structure. Have a right fit structure. I'm not talking about remove your people or anything. I'm just talking about have a right fit structure. Revisit the way you are paying your people. Revisit your performance management systems. So all those systems which are related to your people management has to be revisited. Some of them, if you find that okay, which they are okay, continue with it. But many of them may require some modification going forward. And last and not the least, corporate social responsibility. Continue serving for your society. I'm sure the way Tatas will get benefited, the way Asian Paint will get benefited in future. If you keep serving your society, you will also get benefited in future. So guys, when you talk about strategy document, a winning strategy, you should think about all these 7 business aspects. And by touching all these 7 business aspects, giving a thought on all these 7 aspects, then you can come up with a winning strategy. In next part, I'll be talking about what you should do for all these 7 aspects. But before that, let me take one more poll from all of you. May I request Mr. Hari to run the poll number 3. My question to all of you is: your current strategy document covers all these 7 aspects in a structured manner and ensures that no miss out. I'm sure you have your strategy document. Does it contain all these 7 aspects? And there is a check which has been put that you are not missing out any of them. Please cast your vote. Well, now this is surprising. The results are really surprising. We were, guys, at the start, 60% of the people said that their winning strategy is ready. But today, now in second poll, 76% of our audience is saying that their strategy is not touching all the 7 aspects. 76%. Plus 7% say they don't know. So if I add all of them, almost 83% of our audience says that their strategy is not touching all these business aspects. So until unless your strategy is not verified that it is touching all those business aspects, you cannot ascertain. Yeah, that was the previous. Thanks, Hari. That 60% was saying that winning strategy is ready, but now almost 84% are saying that it is not touching all the business aspects, which is really a good surprise that is coming to all of us. And I was expecting this surprise to come. Thanks, Hari. We can close the poll now and move on. So guys, this is very important. And this is, for me, it's a check, like finance works upon makes and check. And this is a check for your strategy document. Is your strategy considering all the 7 business aspects? If not, I'm not insisting that it should be there in your strategy document, each and everything. But even if it is not there, you should write that there is no specific strategy. Means you have thought about it and then you have concluded a wise decision. Let's say branding, you don't want to do anything further. You can say, okay, branding, and again, that I don't want to do anything in that. So it's a wise decision and not a miss out. Of course, under each part of these 7, there are some sub-elements. We have short of time, so we cannot cover each and every sub-elements. I'll just talk about product and application, the 4 sub-elements. Like that way, there are various sub-elements under each of these 7 aspects. sometime in the future, if you all interested, we can go into much more details as well. So now, if 84% of us are saying that my strategy document is not covering everything, how to design our strategy canvas? That's the next step which we will be discussing. And for that, I like this famous thing which I have borrowed from a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. This is one of my famous book which talks about very simple steps to actually achieve your strategy. So your strategy should be focusing on something creating called value innovation. It doesn't say value creation, it says create a value innovation. Now, what is a value innovation? It is a mix of two things, the cost in an inverted triangle and buyer value. So what it says, cost savings are made by eliminating or reducing the factors an industry competes on, and buyer value is lifted by raising and creating the elements that the industry has never offered. So increase the value that you offer to your buyer and reduce the cost which he has to pay to get that value. So if you can do both simultaneously, what you are creating is a diamond which we call it as a value innovation. So when you are talking about your strategy, think of what value and innovation are you giving through your business, through your offering, through your service. And now, what are the pillars of value innovation? There are three pillars which call utility, price, and cost. So in terms of utility, create a new utility. In fact, new, I will say unmatchable buyer utility. How can you create that unmatchable buyer utility? At a price that attracts mass of the buyer. Create an unmatchable buyer utility at a price that attracts mass of a buyer by setting up a cost structure based on the target. Let's say if I'm selling at 100, I want to make a profitability of 20%. I'll say my cost structure has to be aligned with respect to 80. So I'm giving you buyer utility, exceptional buyer utility at a price that attracts mass of the buyer and at a cost which is set, a structure is based on the target. So that's the three things which you need to think simultaneously when you are making your products or your offerings as a part of your next strategy. It requires good amount of thought process. There are so many checks, whether yes or no. There are so many steps, but unfortunately we have a limited time today, so I may not be able to take through each and every step, but I'm just giving you some hints to channelize your thought process. My entire objective of this particular webinar is to channelize your thought process. I'm sure by channelizing this thought process, even you can come up with a winning strategy. Even if you require any support, we all are always available for your support. So when you talk about your strategy, think of strategy which will give that value innovation. Think of that diamond. Always remember that diamond, that am I identifying that diamond, which we call it as a value innovation. And how to do that, that's why I'm giving you this simple framework, which we call it a framework of RACE, R-A-C-E, because we all are in the race. So use this race to win, to identify your value innovation, to identify your that winning strategy, to identify your diamond. So what is a race? Race talks about R stands for reduce, A stands for augment, C stands for create, E stands for eliminate. Reduce, augment, create, eliminate. So for your current business, you should apply this RACE framework. And how to apply it? When you talk about reduce, you should think which factors should be reduced well below the industry standard. Which factors can be reduced well below the industry standard? Because see, each and every factor may not be applicable in future. So there are certain factors which your industry is working today, which you actually have to reduce. For example, supermarkets, they were saying, okay, what we need to reduce now is actually people coming to our supermarkets. So that's a reduce, which will help you to reduce your cost. There are so many FMCG companies, there are so many IT firms which now are saying that I don't need that offices, I don't need that overhead with paying good amount of rents or owning those properties. 50%, 70% of my staff can still work from home and I can still be effective. Reduce those overhead expenses, that's a part of reduce. Then comes the augment. Argument talks about which factors should be augmented well above the industry standard. That you are creating your own industry standards, whether it is in terms of quality, whether in terms of your products and application, that nobody in your industry is near to those factors. So what can be that strategy to augment your product and offering? I can see, let's say, so there are certain guys are from agriculture industry. If someone is offering some agricultural products to the farmer, what can you augment? That none of the agricultural suppliers can even come nearer to you. What can be that augment? This augmentation can be in terms of your product qualities. The augmentation can be your service. Augmentation can be the way you are managing your customer. Augment can be in terms of managing your supply chain. So there are so many factors. And to honest that, let's say simply augment your entire business. So that's an argument which definitely increases the buyer value. Third is create. It says which factors should be created that the industry has never offered. Take an example. If I talk about some certain examples of this Swiggy's. Of course, they were supplying food. Now what Swiggy's done? Same industry, they said, we will also supply grocery to you. This was not offered by their industry, the food delivery industry. So certain factors needs to be created. Automotive industry was never offering ventilators. Mahindra did that. They created. So it's a new creation because creation adds the value. So identify the pulse of your customer, what they want, and to match that, what can you create? Create, which nobody has done that. And last and not the least, eliminate. What factors should you do to eliminate what industry has never thought of? Because with every elimination, you can actually reduce your cost and thus improve your profits. So there are certain things which you need to eliminate as well. You cannot live with all those same things which were there in the past. You have to eliminate certain products. You have to eliminate your certain serving patterns. For example, nowadays people were saying the salespeople, you have to go to before February, the salespeople has to travel for in-person meeting. Now many organizations are saying that my sale will happen only through online sources. My sales team will not travel. That's an elimination. From physical selling, can you go for that e-selling platforms? How can you sell your product on e-platforms? That's an elimination. You eliminate certain things. I'm not advocating this for each and every industry. Of course, you have to scan your industry, scan your product, scan your services, your customer, their preferences, and based on that, you come up with your own strategy. But when you are talking about your strategy document, when I'm talking about 7 business aspects, I repeat: market, product and application, branding, technology and business execution method, process excellence, people excellence, corporate social responsibility. Apply RACE to all these 7. Even to the markets as well. You can reduce or eliminate certain markets from your canvas. Apply RACE to all the 7 business aspects. So I'm giving you a framework of 7 business aspects and 4 RACE patterns. 7 into 4 are 28 pointers which you should think. Think in detail. Don't rush. Fortunately, you have been given a time to sit at home and think only, nothing else, isn't it? For majority of you and us. So think on these 28 pointers. 7 into 4, 7 business aspects, 4 elements of RACE makes it 28. Your winning strategy is lying between these 28. Believe me. Your winning strategy of your business is lying in answer lies between one of these questions. I'm putting you 28 questions, and your strategy is answer of coming from one of these questions. Like Didi's strategy, they created exactly, isn't it? Right? So focus on this 28 questions, 7 into 4, and come up with your winning strategy. What next then? Let's say you have found the winning strategy. How to implement? Because we always say we are good in idea generation, but very poor in idea implementation. And that's where you should also implement something called the strategy deployment. Just identifying the strategy is not enough. deploying that strategy is equally important. And how can you do that? You can do something called the L1, L2, L3 strategy. For example, I'm just sharing one simple example. Let's say my level 1 strategy is grow the product A sales by 20%. Then I break that strategy into level 2 strategies. Then I say, okay, to achieve that sale of 20% for product A, my sub strategies are increase current customer sales, increase presence in export segment, increase sales in by modern trade. So let's say these 3 sub strategies will give me the top strategy of increasing the product A sales. Of course, for every sub strategy you should quantify. Let's say out of these 3, what number 1 will give, what number 2 will do, what number 3 will do. Then for each number you go to an L3 level. Let's say for the first strategy of increasing current customer sales. Now this L3 is actually an implementable time based action plan that lists down your current customer, commercial customer, identify red zone customer, sort out issues with red zone customer, convert red zone customer to a core customer. These are the simple equations which I put it just for the sake of easy understanding. For every action plan, have your target date. For every action plan, have a person responsible who will be working the. So I have a well-defined smart action plan. Who will be working on which action? This action will serve which sub-strategy, and this sub-strategy will achieve which strategy. So when you are designing, you will go from L1 to L2 and L3. But when you are reviewing, you will actually go in exactly reverse order. You will go from L3 to L2 to L1. Because unless I achieve my L3, I cannot achieve L2. Until I achieve my all L2, I cannot achieve my L1. Until I achieve my L1, I cannot achieve my goal. So that's how our strategic document has to be structured, and then it has to be supported with a very strong sustenance mechanism. It's exactly at 6, and this will be my last slide of the discussion. So you have to set up a sustenance mechanism, which is a multi-layered review mechanism, in which what you can review your project monitoring owner-wise. You can have project monitoring month-wise. For L2, L3, both project and month-wise monitoring. So every month, forget about the months, I will go one step further. Every week you should know how much progress I have done in terms of implementing strategy. And with this current scenario, you don't have these big timelines to plan your implement your strategy. You need to work on, when I say you, it includes me as well. We all need to work on very, very thin timelines, because speed is the name of the game. We have to sprint. We all have to sprint in this scenario. And then have a very good dashboards, a management monitoring system. That management at any given point of time should know that till today, like till 19th May, these many things should have been implemented versus these are implemented or not. This should be on your fingertips on a real-time basis. You don't have to call your EA or your some back office staff to say that, okay, let's have a review meeting to check how much we achieved our strategy or our action plans. It should be a real-time data. So have a sustenance mechanism using these 5 points. So implement those 7 business aspects with 4 race strategies, 28 action points, identify your strategies, convert those strategies into sub-strategies, into an implementable time-bound action plan with ownerships, and set up a strong review mechanism. If you do all this, I'm sure each one of you, I guarantee you that each one of you can come with the flying colors from this recession times. So don't afraid of recession, face it. Face it with courage, face it with innovation. This is a time to innovate. This is not time to cry. This is a time, guys, to think, to innovate, to come up with those winning strategy. Let's use this time to come up with our winning strategy. With this, I conclude my session with a small quote that strategy is not a consequence of planning, but the opposite. It is a starting point. So guys, I think this is a starting point for our today. So with this, I conclude my talks, and maybe I can open up the session for any discussion or question answers. I know we have limited time, so we can take few questions if our organizer permits us. And
before that,
some of the questions are unanswered and you approach me, these are my coordinates for you.
before we go to the Q&A session, I would like to tell you there is a poll, one more poll remaining. So
Yes,
I am
please.
going
Yes.
to run that.
Sure, sure.
So
So, guys, the last poll: will the RACE framework be useful to innovate your winning strategy? Yes or no? Please submit or cast your votes. Will the RACE framework reduce, augment, create, and eliminate? Will it be useful to innovate your winning strategy?
So there was no doubt on people's mind when come to poll on this. So
Good. Glad to hear that 96% says that yes and 4% say don't know. So it's okay. Good. Thank you, people, for showing this confidence. I guarantee you that if you apply it properly, it will definitely help you to innovate your strategies. With this, I once again thank all of you for listening my discussions. It's almost more than 50 minutes now that you are listening patiently, and I can see nobody has moved out of their chairs from the count which I can see on my screen. So thank you for this. Once again, thank you for our organizations, Machine Maker, Hari, his team, Mr. Lakshmikant for managing everything. So thank you very much. And now if our organizer permits, we can take a couple of questions. Maybe Hari, if you found appropriate, you can raise those questions and I will try to answer those to the best of my capability. And for those who would like to touch base, of course, I already shown you my coordinates.
So I have certain people to have raised their hand. So we have very limited time, but I am allowing first person, Mr. Hemant Jog, to talk as he raised the hand. If you have any questions particular to Mr. Vishal, you can ask.
So can I go on?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Vishal, first of all, thank you very much. A very wonderful session. And just to tell you that I'm myself also working as a consultant now for last 3 years after coming out of corporate.
Great. Sorry, sir. I'm not able to hear you. Hello?
Mr. Jog, are you there?
How much
There
Jog, we are not able to
can
hear you
take
properly.
or should you take?
Mr. Jog, sorry, but your voice was broken in between, so I was not able to hear your full question. Can you please repeat? Or maybe if you can type it and in the chat box so that I can actually see.
Okay, my question is am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's better now.
So, I want to ask that if you start now, how much time you feel an organization can take to complete this? Because there is also a time pressure. You don't have a lot of time to do this. So how long should you take to frame the basic thing? And of course, the review mechanism will start later on once you start implementing.
Very interesting question, sir. So my first answer to it, up to L1 level 1 matrix, it can be done in 4 days. Literally 4 days, and we have done that with quite good number of clients. So 4 days is good enough if you focus yourself. Don't look at the clock when you are actually working on it. So that's a mantra. So you can define the start time, but don't define the end time of that session. But 4 days you can actually do that. Plus converting into L2, L3 may be another week's time maximum. But if the organization is super fast, I have seen certain organizations who have actually converted their L1 to L2 and L3 in 3 days only. And then comes the implementation and sustenance loop.
So now I am Akshay. You can ask your question. Akshay. So I think Akshay is not there now. I am allowing Vikas to talk if you are having a question. Vikas, I think these people, I don't know if they are having their chat ready. Other person is Ruben. Ruben also have raised their hand.
Thank you.
Okay, Ruben is
Jambo.
Yeah, Ruben.
Ruben is joining us from Kenya.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, VK. So I had earlier done questions, and one is labor reduction cost saving or waste generation at the end of the product, of the process, in relation to flower farm?
I will not use the word labor reduction here, Ruben. What I will see that you just cross-check, do you have optimum numbers? Are your numbers optimum? You should not be overstaffed. You should be adequately staffed. So my only suggestion in this, don't immediately go for numbers reduction. And it also depends on how much your cost is involved in terms of your salary and wages. Take an example of manufacturing guys, where labor cost is just 6 to 7% ideally, until unless you are highly staffed. It should not be more than 6 to 7%, right? So similarly, I know your industry, for your industry, there are benchmarks. So what I recommend here, don't immediately think of starting reduction or anything. First of all, calculate how much you need versus how much you have. So if your need and have are matching, no need of reduction. But if your need and have, there is a gap, then yes, you may have to, I will not say reduce the labor, but then come up with some redeployment strategies. Because many of us implement some contract labor, casual labor. So you can come up with certain different innovative strategies that instead of cutting, you can talk about some redeployment aspects.
Now we have a question from Mr. N.K. Venkatanarayanan in the Q&A session, where he have asked, success of all this will depend on mindset change. Your thoughts on how this can be done?
Well, the first, I agree with you, sir. The mindset change is the most important step, and which is the biggest hurdle for any innovative strategies. The only answer I will say is once you do your sensitivity analysis, because at the end of the day, someone is running their business, they cannot be blind. They cannot be super optimistic that if the situation is green and I'll still call it as a green. It cannot be that. So that's why the first tool which I have shared with all of you is to conduct the sensitivity analysis of your business. So if your sensitivity analysis of your business is taking you into yellow or red zones, it's, as I say, it's an unknown, it's a signal that you have to think. So there are only two scenarios. If you think, you will be in the game. But if you don't think, today you will be in a comfortable position, but tomorrow you will not be in the game. So it's all depends on that individual, whether he wants to be remain in the game or he wants to be out of the game. So those who would like to be remain in the game, I'm sure they will definitely think and then apply those 7x4 aspects, so that apply your RACE framework so that you come up with a new strategy.
Akash Borse says that he would like to implement RACE and he would like to see that how he can get that arranged through you. So he's looking at the fee structure. I'm sure Akash, Vishal will be connecting you offline, and he can sure guide you and take you ahead. Sure. Now we are trying to conclude this session. What a session! What a session! And I just want to. This is the last poll I would like to do. How do you find this session by Vishal? I would like to have votes from all the people. Yes.
Well, this is a testing time now.
So there is a competition with informative and inspiring. That is only one thing people needs to decide. And the third one is going to be losing in a very bad way. But
well, Hari, as he said, that a moderator cannot be on one side. Oh, thank you.
So this is what I'm telling you. We have a clear winner here. And Vishal, actually, I should have been put informative and inspiring. I was thinking when I was making this question, but still, I would like to keep it both different because it can give us more analysis for doing more webinar like this. So I am concluding and thanking the panelists and the members. I would like to tell you today, we are having a very clear winner. And that is Vishal, who tried to take us and guiding us in the new normal. He guided us in the new normal. He spoke about recession, and then he, through the example of Doordarshan, Ramayana and other programs, how even we talk about DD as a government organized, inefficient organization, how they changed, how they revisited their strategy. And through his strategy, he spoke about how we can revisit our market, how we can do branding, how we should use new technology, and end of the day, how we can effectively do process and people excellence. RACE is going to be the game changer, no doubt. For that, value innovation is going to make a big difference. So, being a host today, it was a privilege for me, more than a host, to be an attendee, to hear what Vishal spoke today. It was so inspiring, it was so informative, and it will, I'm sure, like me, all those people who never went away from their chairs, as Vishal told, given us 100% attendance. And also, we will see, if we can see the chat box, it's full of comments and full of responses all the time. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Vishal for giving his excellent time for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
The other person who would like to thank you is Lakshmikant, who was instrumental in getting this program scheduled with Vishal and Machine Maker. He is a great networker, and Lakshmikant, among all your friends and among whomever he knows, people know that he is a person who would like to come and just add value. So we can ourselves call Lakshmikant is a value innovation for ourselves. So thank you, Lakshmikant.
Thank you.
We call him LK with a lot of love. Thank you for
thanks Hari, for
being
such a nice words.
partnering with us for this program. Nevertheless, each and every participant who made still listening to us, thank you very much for being part of this program. And this program was also, we're live on Facebook. So we had a great time. Thank you very much, and wait for the next episode with Vishal Kulkarni. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you everyone for your time. Looking forward.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. Yes. Thanks.